I'm Matt Reynolds, and this is my podcast.
I can do the job, but running the business is quite difficult. What a lot of tradesmen lack, and I was probably one of them, is business skills.
I don't mind making mistakes. You learn from your mistakes.
Information is all around you in the minds of people that work beside you.
This is episode 5 of Trench Talk. I'm Matt Reynolds, and today I spoke with Andrew Cotton, who is, according to British newspaper The Daily Mail, Britain's most famous plumber. He's also one of the world's most accomplished big wave surfers, and in 2014, riding a wave estimated to be 80 feet high, only narrowly misclaiming the world record for the biggest wave ever surfed. It was Andrew's father who first introduced him to the sport as a young man, the same person who then sat him down in his early 20s after he'd lost a couple of his sponsors and told him he needed to get a job and get on with his life. Andrew complied, completed his plumbing apprenticeship, and got a job. Torn between his love of surfing and a career, he backed himself and with the support of his wife turned all his efforts back to surfing. Today, as a Red Bull athlete, Andrew travels the world in search of perfect waves and a dream to ride the biggest of all time. He speaks to large corporations regularly on topics including high-stakes decision-making and the like, and in 2014 travelled to Brooklyn, New York to speak at TED Youth, the division of TED that caters for middle school and high school students. We caught up as he prepared for the big wave surfing season in Portugal. We did have a couple of connection issues, so this interview became a combination of part Skype, part phone, completed over 2 sessions. But overall, I think you'll agree it cleaned up pretty nicely. Amongst my attempt to figure out the sport of surfing in one conversation, there's some real gems here. We discuss life's turning points, mental preparation, and his thoughts on goal setting. Enjoy my chat with Andrew Cotton. Andrew Cotton, thanks for doing this.
Hi mate, you alright?
Very well, mate, very well. Just to set the scene here, we haven't spoken before, but we first connected when you actually commented on one of my Instagram posts when I was in Waimea Bay in Hawaii. I clicked on your profile and found you to be up there as Britain's most famous plumber. Who gave you that title?
Yeah. Britain's most famous plumber. I think I probably am. Yeah.
Do you know who actually came up with that, or is that a joke, or how did that come about?
No, I think it was the Daily Mail, Britain's most famous newspaper, came up with the headline like "Plumber surfs biggest wave ever" or something like that, and it's just like sort of stuck really.
Now, did you actually surf the biggest wave ever? Because when I was doing some research for this, there was a little confusion about whether it actually was certified as the biggest or not.
No, it's never been certified as the biggest, and the world record holder is still like Garrett McNamara, who I actually surfed with like loads. So he's still officially got the biggest wave ever surfed. But it was reported to be around about 80 feet, but I fell anyway, so it was just like a good photo and a funny headline, and it sort of echoed around the world, I suppose.
Echoed from there, cool. I probably should confess early on that I don't know a whole lot about surfing. I've never actually been able to stand up on a surfboard, to be perfectly honest. But what I do know is that any athlete who is sponsored by Red Bull is certified crazy. So how crazy are you? Because these waves are, they're huge.
It's funny, that is the classic thing, is crazy. But to be honest, it's quite, for me, it's like a natural environment, and also it's quite calculated. I've got a young family, and and if you go injuring yourself and you can't surf, can you? So you sort of judge those or calculate those risks, and it's only. So I'd say it's not really that crazy at all.
I wanted to talk about fear, because I guess when normal people feel fear, they tend to run and hide, whereas that's something that you have to face and deal with every day.
The ocean is super scary. It's scary and dangerous mixed with that. Going into those sort of situations, when the waves are like giant or huge, or that's of course, you get scared, but it's nice to challenge that, and I think fear gets taken out of like a lot of a lot of things, like, I find myself doing it with my kids, like, don't do that, it's dangerous, and like, it's just, I think we go a bit crazy on it, and so yeah, I think it's good to push that, it's good to be scared, it's good to know your limits, or like scare yourself a little bit. I think it's healthy.
So, I guess, do you surf to confront the fear, or is the fear of all those things something you came across in the process of surfing?
No. I surf because I grew up by the beach, and like, I loved it, and I loved the ocean, and then I suppose my surfing escalated. I sort of went into big, like the waves got bigger, and just because I was just rubbish at surfing small waves, I think, and I just sort of enjoyed surfing bigger waves, and like, it was just my style, and I think maybe I did like enjoy pushing it, or like feeling like scared and overcoming that, because once you overcome that fear and you do like make an amazing drop or surf a giant wave, that's kind of buzz as well, like you've overcome something, like rather than getting scared and like pulling back and stopping, you go for it, but you have got to know when to do that. Like, you can't do it all the time, but knowing when to pull that trigger and do what it's exciting. I enjoy that.
So, in your mind, I guess it's not crazy or anything like that. It's working through a process of tackling a big wave, right?
Yeah, or anything, like, because it's not always like, sometimes you're doing rescue, like you're driving a rescue ski and you're rescuing people, and like, it's keeping calm and cool in those situations. Whereas, like, you could like lose the plot, freak out, and but that's not really going to help anyone. It's going to put myself in danger. It's going to put like a teammate or a mate in danger. So it's kind of keeping you cool in those moments.
Now, you recently did some testing at the University College London, if I've got that right, where they tested and compared elite athletes, you being one of them, with I guess ordinary citizens. What did that testing involve, and what did you learn about yourself?
It's funny, actually. They didn't actually share the results with us, but it was about images and how your mind works, and then sort of how people react. So, like, given like a simple task, how quickly the mind, like, after seeing an image, how quickly, and then given a simple task like numbers or something like that. And it was kind of weird, because I thought, oh well, this isn't going to make any difference because it's out of context, because my sort of niche is the ocean and waves, and that's what my fear is. And we were seeing like war images and sex images, and then there was like the normal images, like everyday, like nice things, and they were sort of seeing like how someone off the street, with their sort of reactions and then their focus, and then their mindset would change, like with the horrible images or the sex images, whereas like the motocross drivers and the extreme athletes, whatever you want to call them, they seemed to like, it didn't really bother them as much. So yeah, it was really interesting day, really interesting.
And did they test reaction times? Was it calmness? Like, what was it?
Yes, reaction times. Yeah, it was reaction times. So like it was just like a simple pattern of numbers, and you had to like tap the screen when like a certain number popped up or whatever. And so, but after like you see the like one of like like a horrific image, like I can't probably not going to describe anything, but like, does it take you longer to react and to point the number out, or the pattern, and and that was the sort of testing they're doing, and it goes on for a long time. So like you think, the first couple of images are fine, and then it sort of wears you down as well. It's an interesting test, and they were saying that the sort of extreme athletes were like 20% better. So
In terms of the speed.
Yeah, it's like they weren't slowing down. Like.
Okay, I got it. So regardless of the how bad that image is, the reaction time stayed more consistent and faster with.
Yeah, consistent. Yeah.
Okay, tell me about the early years and the type of work you did as a plumber.
I actually retrained as a plumber in my mid-20s. I sort of had that panic and I was like trying to be a pro surfer, and I was working in surf shops and surfboard factories, and my dad sort of was like, "Oh mate, like you got to sort it out because you're gonna, you're not going to get anywhere, and you need to do a trade." So I went to college at 25, did my apprenticeship, and then I did night school at college, and then I got to I think I did a level MVQ level 2, and then I got an apprenticeship at with a local plumber, and I finished my MVQ 3, and then I got a job straight away doing solar panels and underfloor heating.
Oh yeah.
And then it kind of was when I was doing my apprenticeship, because we lived I lived in a seaside town, and I still was surfing quite a lot, and it was quite good fun. And it was a good laugh. And then when I got my first proper job with the underfloor heating company and the solar panels, it was I was only surfing at weekends, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can, if I'm really cut out to do this, And I think I lasted about a year, maybe not even a year, and then I decided to sort of hand my notice in and go self-employed. So, and then I was self-employed for a few years, doing odd jobs and taking on the heating system, and then till now really. So,
do you still do any?
Sorry, Karen.
Do you still do any plumbing today?
Well, actually, the last plumbing job I did, I built my own house, and so I don't really do other so I plumbed my whole house. So that was the last job I did, and then my mother-in-law I'm in Portugal at the minute, and just before I left, my mother-in-law was hassling me to do some washers in a kitchen tap, but I managed to get out of it and managed to leave the country before I actually got to do it, typical plumber style. But so it's one of those sort of things that I'll probably get back to, or if I have to. But at the minute, I'm really fortunate. I have some great sponsors, and the surfing's going really well. So
yeah, no, it certainly seems that way. Well, let's talk surfing. Who introduced you to surfing in the beginning? Was it your dad?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And he sort of just just took me down the beach. We rented the surfboard and a wetsuit, and it took off there. I think it was probably I think he probably regretted it at the time, or probably looking back now, he probably regrets it, especially when I was in my mid-20s, and all I wanted to do was surf, and he was like, oh God, to get a proper job, but things work out. So,
do you remember the time when you went from this is fun, I'm enjoying it, to this could be a career here?
I think what the moment was is when because I've got 2 young children, and it was I think it was just okay, right, I've got to put 110% into my surfing if I want to do this. It's now or never. Otherwise, I knew that I couldn't do the surfing that I wanted to do and be a plumber and a salary in plumbing. It was one or the other. Yeah. And my passion and my heart and soul was really into surfing, and I was just I've got to happen, because plumbing will still be there in 10 years' time, but my surfing won't be, because I won't be it's not like I can retire and then go back to surfing big waves. I was just okay, it's now or never. I've got to make this happen. And, I got really lucky,
I think it's an interesting question, because what I often find is that people who go on to create some level of success like you have seem to have this way of navigating the kind of put food on your table versus following their dreams equation. And there's this, I guess, an underlying ability to back yourself and what you want to do over what maybe seems logically the best thing to do from, for instance, a financial perspective at the time.
Yeah. And you're 100% right. And I had like this weird conversation with my wife, and I was like part-time plumbing and lifeguarding a bit, and then had a bit of sponsorship with my surfing, and so like I'd chase swells in the winter and then do odd jobs like plumbing and stuff and getting the cash in, and I lost my sponsorship, and I was like, had this weird conversation with my wife in the kitchen. It was like one of those sort of like life moments, and I was expecting her to go like, okay, right, well, you just got to go and get a full-time plumbing job, like, because we had 2 small kids, like, and she just said, well, what do you really want to do? And I was like, well, I just want to surf like the biggest waves in the world. And she's like, well, go and do that then. Like you just got to make it happen. And it was like a really weird, like having someone like so close who, because sometimes the people that are closest to you are like, they don't want to put you off like dreams, but they also probably worry the most that the dreams won't work out. And then what are we going to do? I think, I don't know. But but she just like make it happen, like you got to make it happen. And it was just motivation to like sort of, to get into it and, and put everything into it and have like, having that support where, like I was chasing waves, hoping something will happen, is that's amazing, like, and luckily it did happen, it did work out, because it might not have, it could have, but then you've always got your 9 to 5. Like my dad said, like once you're married, you got a job for life. So
well, so the plan B is always there. It's never going to go away. So that's it's an awesome way of looking at it. So you're in Portugal right now. You've come off a boat for the last 4 or 5 days. Is that right?
Yeah, I've been on a boat, like exploring some islands off Portugal, and then I got back at the weekend, and there's like a giant swell today, so I surfed like all day. I feel really bad because we came away on a family holiday, and so far I've probably spent about 3 days with the kids. So yeah, I've got to put some time in this week. The surf goes small from tomorrow, so we'll get the kids in the water and can have some surf time after that.
Do the kids surf?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They take it or leave it. But they just luckily they like the water and the ocean. Like whether it's a swimming pool or the ocean or whatever, like they like being wet. So it's good. Like they're both young and like they can stand up on boards and surf if they want to, but they take it or leave it. But they like getting wet, so which is good.
Well, it must be an advantage having not only the support of your wife, but also to be in a place where I guess your kids can also enjoy at least part of what you do. Is a great advantage.
Yeah, and that was always my goal. Like my dream was like to be able to travel with family and give them opportunities, and like not that like having a full-time plumbing job wouldn't have done that, because it definitely would have, but just not as much, not as the freedom as you wanted to, and so. Yeah, lucky, really lucky.
How hard was it to get sponsors? You mentioned you lost one a while ago, but you've got a number of them now. How hard was that to arrange, and how did they come about?
It's kind of hard to get people to believe in you when you're saying, "Oh, I want to do something," or "I'm gonna do it," because everyone's like, "Yeah, whatever." But like I think. Yes, obviously it's not easy, but then I think it's like you keep chipping away, you keep, getting the shots or catching the waves, and then people start believing, in you, and then and that's especially I'm like my sponsors, a lot of them are like British, and they're not like the big international surf companies like that. They're like British companies, and so it's I get some real good local support and. Like Red Bull, sponsor Red Bull, which is amazing, and they're really good support and like give you great opportunities and do great projects with them, and also supported by Jeep, which is another amazing car brand, and as well as like the local UK companies like a local wetsuit manufacturer called Tiki, and from where I live, and a clothes sponsor called Salt Rock, which are like a local UK brand. And so no, I've been really fortunate.
And do you have to, like, are these things measured? Do you have to keep performing to maintain that sponsorship? Like, is there a pressure involved there?
Oh yeah, but like I think I've of course there is. Because if you're not performing, then like why should they support you? But at the same time, like I've always told myself, it's got to be fun, because otherwise, if I'm not enjoying myself, and you do your best surfing when you're enjoying yourself, and so like, I try to sort of ignore that that pressure and just sort of have fun, enjoy it, and it just naturally happens, and it does. It always naturally happens, and and then you get the get the waves you want, you need, and the waves you dream of, So yeah, it all naturally happens.
So your goal at the moment, is it to surf the biggest wave ever?
Yeah, that's always been like a dream, and so I'm sure it will happen at some point, and but loads of other goals as well. And one of them is just to have fun and enjoy my surfing, and I think if I'm doing that, like, my goal of surfing the biggest wave ever will naturally happen,
And how does it actually work? Because I assume that the waves have to be measured somehow, and then I'm guessing that the actual wave that you ride, if it's being considered, as the biggest, needs to be measured kind of like at the time you ride it. So is there like equipment for this, or is it an estimate, or how does that work?
Well, like there's a governing body that sort of measures it, but the key is not to fall off. So, a couple of like the biggest waves I've ever caught, like I've never actually like rode it out. So you have to like make the wave, and then like when you're at the bottom of the wave, they can measure from like the bottom of the wave to the top, like using you or like as a measuring stick,
What, they take that off like a photograph, do they, or?
Yeah. They usually like combine like 2 or 3 angles, or if they got them, or one angle or whatever, and that's how they sort of measure it. It's funny. It's really like a loose. It's kind of hard to measure a wave. Whatever I might call a wave like 3 foot, someone else would call it 5 foot, and someone would call it 2 foot. It's just like surfers are renowned for that sort of thing. It's kind of hard to measure waves.
So in these attempts, you've obviously got a fairly big team that you have to make all this possible, from, I guess, someone to take these photographs so they can measure the waves and all this sort of stuff, right through to people towing you in. Can you talk a little bit about your team, the size of it, and the roles that they play?
Well, I just got like they're friends. So Garrett McNamara's one of the main guys I surf a lot, who actually has the world record at the minute. Another guy called Hugo Val. He does safety a lot, and also another great surfing. And we like rotate. So it's not like not like just me just surfing or Garrett just surfing. We just all surf. We're all surfers. All love it. We all do the same thing, and and we're all helping each other. So it's a good vibe. And that's the great thing about big wave surfing, is that you can't do it by yourself. You have to have like-minded people and people with the same goals and passions. And by being in a team like that, you get a lot further. And then you got guys who do the filming and shoot photos, and so it's a good, especially good vibes.
That wraps up part 1 of the interview. Now on to part 2.
You're still in Portugal, right?
I am from Portugal, yes.
Okay, cool. Just to, reset the scene, I've moved from my home in Melbourne to Surfers Paradise on the Gold Coast here, which is a popular
surf spot in Australia. Have you ever surfed in Australia yourself, or?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, quite a while ago. I spent a couple of months in West Oz in Margaret River.
Oh, nice.
Around there, yeah, it's good. It's amazing.
Oh, cool. And according to your Twitter account, the last week or so, you've had some pretty good surf in Portugal, right?
Yeah, it's been firing. Yeah, it's been really good. It's been we had like a huge swell, which was it's big, like 40, 50 feet or something like that. And then we had like a run of like really fun surf from ranging from like 10 foot for a few days. Today it was like just a couple foot and perfect. Good.
Oh, awesome. What's the difference, apart from obviously the actual size of the waves, in the skill set from, what you consider standard surfing to big wave surfing? Is it like sort of this agility and quickness on standard waves versus like strength and power on the bigger ones?
Yeah, I suppose, like small wave surfing, I suppose, is, it's more gymnastic or, and yeah, you have to be quick and light. That helps in small surf. Big wave surfing, I don't know, like, I like it because, it's going in straight lines, like, it's like, I suppose it's kind of easier in a weird way, but it's more like in your head, I suppose, like that mental sort of scenario.
And can you, I've heard you sort of talk about the wave that you caught. Actually, I think it was off or in Portugal somewhere for the Behind the Lines project that you did. Can you talk through actually catching that wave, which was considered at one point to be the biggest wave ever caught, from spotting it right through to riding it?
Yeah, well, like that day, like we knew it was, like the surf was like absolutely giant, and I was looking for like that particular wave. We were waiting. We surfed like over like 4 hours, and I only actually caught one wave, and that was the wave. But like we still were like after. So it's when it's that big, like it's not like you want to go like at every wave. It wasn't really about like getting like 2 or 3, 4 or 5 waves. It was about getting that one wave, And then when that set came, like Garrett was driving the ski at the time, and like he just like turned around and looked at me and was like, like there's that nod, and it's like, you want it? Are you ready? And it's just like I can remember looking around and going, oh my god, it's massive, and I was like, yeah, like, yeah, this is what we've been putting all the effort in for, like, and the second that like I said, yeah, like. Driving as fast as he could on the ski, and I was hanging on the rope behind him. And it put me like in the perfect spot. And those waves are over, like they go quick. They move fast, and the ride was probably only a few seconds long. But the actual ride I can sort of remember in slow motion. Like about like the long few seconds, if you know what I mean. Going like super fast and bumpy, and it wasn't by any means like the dream ride. It was it was the hardest straight-hander that I've surfed, I think.
And like when you start surfing down the face of the wave, and then the lip or the whitewash or whatever you term it actually catches up with you. Can you outrun that, or do you always kind of like get gobbled up by the wave? And then what happens if you that you do come off, or it does catch up with you?
Well, yeah, like in the best case scenario, you make the wave, but that particular wave, I just couldn't go fast enough, and like I can remember like hearing the crashing behind me and like thinking, I'm just there's no fast enough, and and it felt like an eternity before the actual white water hit me. And if you look at footage, it's like not even a second. Like it breaks behind me and like eats me straight away. And that particular wipe, it was quite violent, but I wasn't under for very long, and I came up pretty quick. And but the scary thing with those sort of wipeouts, when the waves do catch you, or you do get you do fall off, or you do, is that you just never quite know. Like you don't know if you could be under for a long. There's no written rules of how it's going to go. That's the unknown. So some aren't very bad, and some are worse than others.
So how do you prepare for that? Because I've seen the footage a few times now, and do you have to train for like breathing, like holding your breath? Like how does that work? Because the waves are so big, and if you don't know how long you're going to be under, how do you actually prepare for that from a physical point of view of breathing?
Yeah, it's going to, if you got good breathing, or you can hold your breath, but I think the main thing is not to panic. And that you can waste a lot of oxygen by tensing and fighting and panicking, or you slow things down. Like you sort of increase your breath holds quite and without minimal effort. And you do breathing exercises, or you do training and that in the pool, and which helps give you confidence, and but you're never underwater that long. I think there's the key to all of it is not panicking, and that's, I suppose, like a psychological sort of thing. So if you don't panic, and you usually fine.
And physically, is it forceful on your body?
It takes a toll on your body, and amount of sessions, and it feels like you've done like a few rounds of Mike Tyson or whatnot. Of course, because it is like like those sort of waves, they literally rattle your bones. So it hurts. Sometimes you feel like you do a good massage and a day at the spa afterwards. But that sort of thing is to be expected. With any sport, no matter what, at a high level, it takes a toll.
Oh yeah, of course. I could only imagine from looking at the footage. Is there any common injuries that you get from surfing? Because I noticed that you wear a brace on your knee. I think it is. What is it? Your left knee? And is that a surfing related injury, or is that prevention?
So when I was in my I ruptured my ACL, and I actually did it skateboarding, of all things. And then,
no!
Yeah, and then I had reconstruction, and then I re-ruptured surfing, some really small waves, at home, not what you'd expect. There's nothing heroic. It was shoulder high and onshore, and I just stood up, and the graft that they put in re-ruptured. So I had it sort of replaced again. So I've got quite a few 2 or 3 surgeries on the same knee. So now I just wear that brace, and it protects it, and I probably don't need it, but it's just I've been out of the water for a long time over the years through the same injury. So now I just brace.
As far as the physical preparation for riding these big waves, I've seen that you cycle, you do a lot of stuff in the gym. Is there anything in addition to those that you do specifically in preparation for surfing?
I think we're all a bit more health conscious, just general exercise and eating a bit cleaner, I'd say, is preparation, but I found a lot of the things which to be honest, I never thought these sort of things would make a difference, but that I found that they really do, and that's that mental preparation. So like whether it's writing goals down or visualizing or having like a plan or whether it's each session or for your year or for your 5-year plan, like having those things in place, like it focus and sort of motivates me, and in turn that motivates you to go and train or surf harder or do whatever. So I think that preparation should never be overlooked. Like that, it's actually quite important, because if you don't do things like that, like have your goals and visualize what you actually want, visualize the waves that you're going to surf, then sometimes you're missing a big part of the puzzle.
Totally. How do you write down your goals? Like, is it, you said a 5-year plan, do you have those, and then do you sort of revisit them before every session? Like, on a practical level, how do you relate your goals to what you're doing? Do you go at that regularly?
Yeah, like I have my sort of big goals, which really I can't control. So whether you get that wild record-breaking wave or whether you win a big wave award or something like that, really, because they're sort of taken outside of your control. Of course I can do things to help me achieve them or give me a chance to achieve them, but at the end of the day, a competition is it's subjective, and the size of a wave can be subjective or whatever, but what I can control is the things that each session, I'll make myself a little goal, okay, right, I want to, sometimes I okay, right, I just want to wait for the biggest wave. I only want one wave, but I want it to be the, and other sessions I sort of go, okay, I want to get more waves this session, and I'll, so I have little mini sort of goals to help me, reach my main overall goal. And sometimes it's just try and enjoy my surfing, have fun. Which sometimes you need to remember yourself it's supposed to be fun. This is all about having fun.
So I guess, and overall, you have this sort of ultimate or big goal, and then break it down sessionally, as in, this session I want to do A, B, C, and D, and then keep it fun, and let that overall goal unfold.
Yeah, and it would so another one of my goals I can control is do a project or filming project, work with sponsors. These are all things that if I do my filming projects and I work with my sponsors and keep them happy, then hopefully they'll with me next year, which will then ultimately give me another chance of getting that dream wave, because things like that, they're all going to help me boost my profile or help me achieve what I want to do, and that and that thing is surf the biggest wave ever or something like that. Like that, you just never know when that opportunity is going to come along. I'm not going to be able to do it if I'm not surfing professionally or surfing in the right spots.
Of course, you do a fair bit of speaking on the, I guess, motivational circuit, if you like. What type of groups do you normally talk to? And then, by extension, what do you often talk about?
The speaking thing's weird, because that was one of my at school, and then I used to get so nervous speaking in front of people, and I mumble and I stutter, and so it's a weird thing for me to be doing, and I've done a couple which I've just sort of had to pinch myself and what am I doing, just because it's a bit surreal, you find I've done a couple in the States. I've had youth talk in the Brooklyn Museum, I did a pop tech talk and just up from just in the States as well, and there's been bits and pieces, and usually about like my journey and about motivation and about going through that path and sort of the choices you make. And it's funny, like surfing or big wave surfing, you can relate to a lot of like business and that. So I've done some like I've done a couple of talks about the banks and business centres and it's like teamwork and decision making. And surfing's big wave surfing's quite like the visuals you get with it, like whether they surf or not, a lot of people like it. Because at the end of the day, the decisions that I make on that moment, on that split second decision, like it can either it could be life or death, I suppose. And in business, like that could mean, obviously not life or death, but it could mean a lot of money or like losing a job or getting a new contract or whatever, and how you make those decisions quickly and efficiently, and that's what big wave surfing is. It's what surfing is,
I've heard. I saw an extract of part of a talk that you did where you made, or you said that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Did you?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what we're talking about here. Did you come up with that, and can you explain sort of how that's played out in your life?
No, I haven't come up with that. That's like a quote, but it's something that I really truly believe in, and like the world one man band, it's kind of hard to sort of go on those missions and not want any help or not. I don't think. Yeah, you might get to A to B quick, but I just don't think it's the way that you're going to be there for a time. And I've just like with my surfing, like I've been if you spend time with like-minded people and you don't be afraid to take a back seat or take advice or you don't always have to be the person in the spotlight, which a lot of athletes, especially like in surfing, maybe don't like. Like they always want to be like the one in the spotlight or whatever. When you're surfing big waves, it's not always about that for me. It's about being part of a team, about doing safety for a bit, or helping my mate achieve a goal that he wants to do, or and that's teamwork, isn't it? And surfing's not always really about teamwork. It's not. It's quite a selfish sport, I suppose. But I think that if you work in teams and you help each other out, then everyone's better off for it.
Yeah, you seem to have a way of relaxing into this pretty big goal, if you like. It's refreshing in some ways to hear that, because it's often, I guess, communicated, as a single focus and life or death situations and all this sort of stuff where it's where there's only one, you only allow one outcome, whereas you seem to have this way of, as I say, relaxing into whatever the outcome ends up being.
Yeah, well, it hasn't always it hasn't always been like that, but I think you can get too involved, and sometimes that's, especially with competitions or things like that, there's only so much you can do, and if I know I've done everything and you still lose or you still don't get that wave that you want, there's no point in beating yourself up about it or just because sometimes you just can't, and you have to sort of for your own sanity let things go sometimes, not think about it or over process it or of course take everything on board and work out could I have done more, should I have done this, and take anything you can from a session or a competition or or a season, but just don't dwell on stuff, you know, because
Right.
you know, sometimes it's about.
Yeah, of course, I think we've all been guilty of maybe hanging on to past successes or failures for a little too long. So I totally understand what you're saying there. I want to just ask a couple more questions about trade background and being a plumber, if that's okay. Any lessons that you've learned from plumbing that you've carried forward into your surfing, or vice versa?
I don't know, like keep it cool and like efficiency, like doing like things properly and once pays off. You know, like you can't cut corners because it comes back to haunt you, no matter what. You know,
absolutely.
And that is, like that's in training. You know, like you're only cheating yourself at the day. You know, like when you do, I'll miss a couple of reps, like no one's gonna know. You know, like it's the same as like when it comes back. It's only gonna come back and haunt you. So like do things properly first time.
Sound advice. Do you think you'll ever come back to the world of plumbing when you're done surfing?
You know, like I don't know. One thing, and that's what I can say is that I'm glad that I have a trade and a skill. Like it's probably the best thing that I did, and I'm glad that I did it when I did it. Because whether I do come back to do it like as a career or work for anyone, it's always going to help me and like my family, my friends, something like that. Like it's like it's always good to know a plumber, isn't it? So
True. Yeah.
So it's definitely handy.
So let's say that someone goes online and has a look at these videos these Red Bull stuff that you do, these videos, these huge waves that you surf, and gets inspired to grab a surfboard and head into the water. Where do they start?
Well, if they've never surfed before?
Well, like for me, for instance, I'm at the beach right now. I've never actually stood up on a surfboard. So have you got any tips that could get me underway?
What I've just from experience, like when I grew up surfing, like there wasn't an option to go to a surf school or anything like that. But I would definitely recommend. It will cut down on hours and hours of like getting it wrong and learning the hard way. Is to go to a good surf school and just get 1 or 2 lessons. Like get shown a few tips. It will cut out hours and hours of frustration. That'd be a good base. And then like the sea can be amazing and beautiful, but it also can be really scary. So generally, I'd sort of recommend if you go into a lifeguard, just in case.
Keep safe. Yeah. Well, we've got a couple of weeks here, so I might just get inspired and sign up to surf school and see what happens.
Yeah.
What
let me know how you go.
Well, for sure, I'll definitely do that. And then for anyone, be it tradesperson, a surfer, anyone who wants to be generally more successful in life, what advice do you give to someone who possibly hasn't, as you have, discovered what they're really passionate about? How did you get to that point where you knew that surfing was the thing for you? Was it very early in life that happened? How did you stumble upon it, and how does someone find what they're passionate about? I know that's a lot of questions rolled into one, but I'm sure you understand what I'm getting at.
I know what you mean. I don't know. I think that it's not like I think. Yeah, I was passionate about surfing from a very young age, but I suppose it was doing something because I thought it would make me like you don't realise how passionate about something you are until you maybe you're not doing it as much, or so sometimes be doing your passion and not even realise it, and it's not until you sort of you take a different direction that you realise how passionate you are about something that you were doing. Does that make any sense? And it took like me to do something different, like take me away from surfing to realise how passionate I was about it and how much I wanted to do it, and how much that it meant to me.
Because it was after it, if I understand, it was after you sort of turned away from surfing that you then decided to go back and then go back full on, right?
Yeah, like it, the obviously a couple turning points, but I think it was like like working full time as a plumber and a tradesman, and that sort of. Okay, well, the only reason I was doing that was for money, and then I realised, well, actually, like, the money wasn't what it was about. Like, I didn't really care, like, about the money, because it wasn't really, like, matter. Like, if you're not like getting proper fulfilment out of your job, then you could be getting paid, millions. But if you're not really, if it's not making you happy, then what's the point? So yeah, you kind of that sort of taught me like a pretty big lesson, and that sort of then inspired me to sort of go after something which necessarily was never going to get me rich or be a secure living, but was going to fulfill me in different ways.
Sure. And just to wrap up, what's the best way that people can follow your journey in the future attempts to ride the biggest wave?
Ride the biggest waves. Yeah. Well, I'm on all the usual social media platforms and stuff. So Facebook, I'm Andrew Cotton Surfer, and Twitter, Andrew_Cotton, and Instagram, I think it's Andrew_Cotty. All the usual sort of things.
Awesome, mate. Look, appreciate your time coming on, and taking some time away from the surfing that you love to do, and sharing your thoughts and wisdom with us. Much appreciated.
Thanks very much for having me, and I hope you have some fun in the sea next few days.
I will. I'm going to sign up to these surf lessons that I've had a little bit of a look into, and I'm going to let you know how I go, as embarrassing as that may be.
Okay.
Cheers, mate.
Right. Well, good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, it's Matt again. Thanks for listening. Just a couple of things before you guys clock off. You can get all Trench Talk episodes at xrm.com.au/podcast. You can also sign up for other goodies at the same site. Just plonk your email in there and you are covered. That's X for X-ray, R for Romeo, M for Mike.com.au/podcast. If you really like what I'm bringing you, please head to iTunes, subscribe to this show and leave a review right there. And lastly, if you want to contact me directly, type the @ symbol followed by Mr. Matt Reynolds into your search bar and you'll find all the social links. Goodbye.